So, has teenagehood been replaced overnight? Or was it replaced by performance? Teenagers used to be able to grow and exist privately, and now everything lives online forever, with conditions no other previous generation has ever had to navigate. Well, at least in the same way. Constant visibility, comparison, constant exposure. And maybe the question is no longer, what is it like to be a teenager? But what happens to identity development when growing up becomes public? And historically, we have seen this in celebrity children. Young people growing up in the public eye often face enormous scrutiny during very key developmental years. Every awkward phase and mistake was news, and it was accessible and public. And psychologically, many former childhood celebrities have often spoken out about their struggles with identity, their pressure and self-worth, and just growing up without normal developmental privacy. And yes, while most teenagers are not celebrities, social media and online digital spaces may have normalized smaller forms of public performance and surveillance for ordinary adolescents too. We used to grow up in a space where it felt private. Most generations have experienced privacy and how growing up publicly would be quite unusual. And now in some ways it's becoming completely normalized. I feel like we have to start with, what is adolescence? Adolescence has always been an intensely emotional developmental stage. Psychologists have understood the teenagehood as a period of identity formation, emotional sensitivity, and social development. Developmental psychologist Erik Erikson describes adolescence as a stage of identity versus role confusion, a stage where young people explore who they are, what they value, as well as how they fit in this world. But healthy identity formation often requires something extremely important: space. Space to experiment, to change, to be awkward, and then to gradually grow. And modern adolescence seems to be offering less and less of this. So maybe we should be addressing the rise of visibility. Developmental psychologists have observed that adolescents often experience something called the imaginary audience. The feeling that somebody is constantly noticing or evaluating them. And this is actually considered a very relatively normal developmental stage. Teenagers are naturally more self-conscious. Peer acceptance becomes very psychologically significant. And as we mature, this does eventually mellow out. But digital environments may intensify this quite significantly. For many young people today, social evaluation is no longer something that is confined to the school corridors or even temporary. It becomes continuous, public, and permanent. And historically, this awkwardness would fade with time, but now it can remain online indefinitely. And I think that that changes how experimentation is felt psychologically, because it's difficult to freely explore identity when you feel continuously watched. Digital environments have also blurred developmental boundaries. Teenagers today can gain access to adult spaces and pressures much earlier than previous generations, and a 13-year-old can consume the same content a 25-year-old does. And to me, that seems absolutely ridiculous. And these are topics that I just don't feel a 13-year-old should be consuming. Things like beauty culture, relationship discord, political extremity, financial anxiety, and sexualized content, which I think is so crazy considering this is a 13-year-old who's just entered the next stage of their life, who are going through immensely emotionally intense situations. To now add the adult pressures to this just seems far too much. And I think in some ways, adolescence is increasingly beginning to look like adulthood performance. Young people are being encouraged to optimize themselves before they've even had a chance to consider who they actually are or even who they want to be. Some teenagers are now feeling pressured to be productive, marketable, attractive, successful, and all at increasingly young ages. And in some ways, this version of identity formation is beginning to resemble self-branding. And we can see this in the increasing impact of spaces like the manosphere for young boys and skincare and makeup culture targeting young girls. We are creating an environment that is actively encouraging children to jump into adulthood, and they're missing a key developmental stage: teenagehood. And there is also a reason society historically separated adolescence from adulthood. Teenagers are not simply smaller adults. Adolescence exists in its own category, as its own developmental stage, because psychologically, emotionally, and neurologically, young people are still forming identity, emotional regulation, and decision making, as well as just a sense of self. And this isn't to say that teenagers are unable to make adult decisions. Rather, adolescence exists because there should be a space where they can learn to experiment, make mistakes, and discover who they are before the responsibility of adulthood actually arrives. Research in developmental neuroscience also shows that brain systems in emotional regulation, impulse control, long-term decision making, as well as risk evaluation continue to develop throughout adolescence and into early adulthood, suggesting that adolescence is a marker of a transitional period, a space between childhood and adulthood where gradual development is expected to happen. But modern environments are exposing adolescents to adult pressures before their emotional systems are fully developed, or even at least fully prepared to process them. And I think sometimes we expect teenagers, especially now, to navigate these adult spaces with adult resilience. So where does algorithms, identity, and belonging fit into all of this? Psychologists have recognized that humans are shaped by their environments. Developmental psychologist Yuri Bonfrenbrenner proposed ecological systems theory, the idea that development comes through multiple layers and occurs through interaction between all of these systems: family, peers, school, communities, culture, and now algorithms, social media platforms, and influencers. These environments are increasingly shaping identity, and where we place these digital environments on this hierarchy is yet to be determined. And adolescents are psychologically vulnerable to belonging at this stage. Research suggests that during uncertainty, humans often become more drawn to environments that offer certainty, identity, belonging, or direction. Online communities and influencers can offer all of these things in one space, whether that be for better or worse. Some young people are being exposed to simplified versions of masculinity, femininity, success, relationships, and self-worth models, which are all very concerning. During periods of uncertainty, these messages can come across as very confident and persuasive, and we can see these examples in young people time and time again. All you have to do is spend 30 minutes of researching online current problems within teenagers and the loneliness epidemic, and you start to really see how digital online spaces are holding these environments and holding these messages, and how easily young people are absorbing them. But of course, there are more layers to this subject. We're now moving on to online bullying and public humiliation. Embarrassing moments can now be recorded and shared, screenshotted, reposted, and revisited repeatedly. For some teenagers, social mistakes no longer remain temporary. They become digitally permanent, preserved in their social identities online. And psychologically, I think this changes something extremely important. Adolescence is supposed to involve a lot of awkwardness. It's supposed to be about trying identities on and outgrowing them. But the permanence of this experience can make experimentation feel so dangerous. Research does consistently link cyberbullying to increased anxiety and depression, social withdrawal, and reducing well-being overall, especially among adolescents. Young people may also be more vulnerable to manipulation, coercion, and grooming and exploitation in online environments, especially when belonging and validation becomes psychologically significant. And as discussed earlier, some researchers have identified increasing loneliness and social disconnection, particularly among young people and young men. In some cases, online figures can offer certainty, identity, direction, and belonging that adolescence just simply doesn't provide anymore. I feel like the next thing we need to address is the loss of third-party spaces. So at the same time of all of this, many third-party spaces where teenagers could typically gather together and socialize have become a lot less accessible. Places like city centres, parks, youth clubs, places outside the home and school where identity could be explored freely, where social development and confidence could grow more organically. A lot of young people today are now heavily monitored or completely online. There just seems to be less space in between. Sociologists refer to these environments as third-party spaces, places outside of structured environments where people develop socially through informal interactions. And as more and more of these spaces disappear, these interactions are now shifting to online spaces. At the very same time, it is so important that we don't romanticize the past. The internet has also created very meaningful opportunities for connection, creativity, education, and for many adolescents, particularly marginalized or isolated young people, online communities can provide a sense of belonging and support, which is so important, which they may not be able to receive offline. All of these things are incredibly important and should absolutely not be overlooked. So this isn't really a conversation about whether technology is either good or bad. It's more of a question of what developmental conditions help young people form healthy identities. Adolescence has always involved some vulnerability, but modern digital environments may increase the speed, visibility, and permanence of all these developmental stages. So what is the answer to this? What can we actually do about it? Developmental psychology does not suggest that young people need perfectly monitored lives, but research does suggest that young people would benefit from privacy, autonomy, safe social connection, identity experimentation, and environments where mistakes are not permanently preserved. Young people shouldn't feel like every moment of their lives is going to be preserved and played back for them, like some sort of public performance. Everybody deserves space to exist without feeling like they have to optimize themselves and without feeling constantly watched. Research on self-focused attention suggests that self-monitoring is associated with increased anxiety and reduced emotional presence. So environments to reduce chronic evaluation may help adolescents feel safer to explore identity, at least more authentically. And self-determination theory also proposes that humans psychologically thrive when these three core needs are supported: autonomy, competence, and connection. Teenagers need and deserve opportunities to develop agency. Some psychologists even argue that boredom and unstructured time can support creativity, reflection, and identity development, and constant stimulation and distractions can reduce opportunity for internal exploration, because identity does gradually grow through contradictions, experimentation, and change. So I do think that it's important to approach the subject with empathy rather than judgment, and ask yourself, when was the last time you felt the most free to explore who you were? What environments made you feel safe growing up? And how much of your identity feels like your own versus performed? Teenagehood was never meant to be this perfectly curated performance. It is always meant to be messy, and to be fair, awkward. So maybe the real issue isn't that teenagers are changing, maybe it's the environment that's changing around them faster than we can fully understand. And perhaps what they really need is privacy, agency, safety, and freedom to become who they're meant to be.